Alright, the next thing we're going to be looking at here is the volume and surface area of a cone. So go ahead and draw a picture of this, and it's basically, it looks like an ice cream cone, but it's turned upside down here. And what we have here is drawing these two lines. We have this, which is actually a circle. Okay, so this is going to be a circle right here. We also have the height, so that would be h, and then once again we have what we call the slant height. Okay, and there's a couple of formulas here. One we have is the volume, and the volume is 1/3 the area of the base times the height. And probably the easiest way to do this, rather than looking at it that way, is just having this as the formula here. So it's 1/3 times pi r squared times h. Okay, so it's 1/3 pi times r squared times h. So pi r squared is the area of the base, since it's a circle here. Also, for the total surface area, it's pi times the radius times the slant height plus pi times radius squared. And really what it is this is the area of the base, that's the circle, and this is the area of that lateral surface area here, which we could actually prove to you why it is what it is. Why is it pi times r times l, but just trust me on this, that's what it is. So once you have these formulas in there, into your toolkit, let's go ahead and let's get started. So let's use a few numbers here. So we're going to find the volume and the total surface area if we go back to this cone here and we say to ourselves, well, the radius, that would be from here all the way out, that is 5, and also the height is 12. So once again, if we wanted to find out that slant height here, you'll notice here it actually makes a right triangle. So we could say the slant height, which is L, would equal, and that's, by the way, a lowercase l here. I'm gonna make it uppercase here. So slant height is L, and it's going to be L squared will equal, L squared will equal 5 squared plus 12 squared. Well, that's 25, that's 144, so that's 25 plus 144. So L squared ends up being 169, and when you square root it, L ends up being 13. So that's our slant height. All right, so let's go ahead and use the two formulas here. The first formula says for the volume, we're going to take 1/3, so I'm writing volume equals 1/3 times pi times our radius squared. Well, our radius is 5, so I'm going to times it by 5 squared, and then finally times our height. Our height is 12. Alright, so when you grab your calculator here, don't worry about pi, just take 1/3 times 5 squared times 12, and when you've done that, you'll wind up with 100 and then pi. So it'll be either 100 pi centimeters cubed, or for those of you who'd rather deal with decimals, it's approximately, if you take 100 times pi on your calculator, you'll get it 314.16, and that's centimeters cubed. So either of these answers would be okay here. Now, for the total surface area here, let me change colors here to blue. So total surface area, the formula is pi times the radius times our slant height. So it'll be pi times the radius, which is 5. Our slant height we figured out a moment ago is 13. Okay? Plus, it's going to be pi times the radius squared, and the radius is 5. So 5 times 13, that's 65, so that ends up being 65 pi. 5 squared is 25, so that ends up being 25 pi. And when you add 65 plus 25, you get 90. So our answer here is 90 pi, and that'll be centimeters squared. That is, if we were measuring this, I'm going to write centimeters here because we didn't really specify earlier. And then if you want to go ahead and change this over to a decimal, it will be approximately 90 times pi. Grab your calculator, you should get 282.74, and that'll be centimeters squared. So you have your formula now for cones, for the volume and the surface area, and that's an example that should help you know how to do in the future.